there's lots of Canadian moves across as well. Among those Canadian moves, Tajon Buchanan heads to Villarreal. And Alex, you floated this idea that Buchanan should go back to Villarreal, and it's come to fruition. He's signed through 2030. So he finds some stability at the club in La Liga. So he stays in a league where he found some success last year and a club.
Score a point for my agent and media literacy, so to speak. The Sassuolo links, well, again, like we said at the time, nothing bad with them. They felt a bit out of place, but clearly credit to, his agent, credit to Tajon Buchanan, credit to Villarreal. They approached this in a smooth, diligent way, right? I remember Brendan a few weeks ago had a great point about how you just didn't want this to drag out. It didn't. It's not even August, and he's training with Villarreal. He's going to be there probably starting the first La Liga game of the season. And it worked out for all parties. Inter somehow makes a profit on Tajon Buchanan. So, they can at least say, all right, while it wasn't, the most successful of ventures, a lot of bad luck involved, you still get your profit. Maybe this doesn't deter them from making the next move for a Canadian out of Belgium down the road. Nathan Saliba. No, I'm just too early for that.
It's funny you said Saliba because I immediately thought Promise David.
David, screw it, man. Imagine him as the Marcus Thuram replacement.
That's what I'm saying.
So Inter does well. You get your money back. Tajon Buchanan does well because he's going to a big club. And of course, Villarreal does well because they have a lot of money to burn. We talked about it earlier. They have the Champions League money. They also kind of quietly forgotten. They sold 2 players for almost like 60, 70 million euros. They had money to burn. So I'm excited because because he was at Buchanan, you almost laugh at a move like Villarreal. It's like, it feels like it's small. Villarreal have finished top 8 in La Liga every year except one since 2012. Like, they're consistently one of the, better teams and one of the better leagues in the world. And Buchanan quietly was just, announced there as a, 8 million, however many euros signing. Like, this is kind of a huge deal. And I think this is cool that it doesn't feel like it because it shows A, how good Buchanan is, and also B, how far we've come in Canadian soccer. So I just wanted to shout that out.
Villarreal are like the Green Bay Packers equivalent of European soccer. So they're in like a very small surrounding area. The population is very small, but they're a team that's been like always competitive and has a very big trophy cabinet. And they're a team you consider to be a big team when they are very clearly in an astronomically small market.
And Ismael Kone also goes to Sassuolo. It seemed like Sassuolo just wanted a Canadian. Struck out on Buchanan. They've gone for Ismael Kone. If he'll play, this is probably a good step because there's going to be a lot of defending and a lot of transition for a Sassuolo team that is newly promoted after winning Serie B, Alex.
Yeah, I think it's nice because diving into the Sassuolo promotion, I always like when I see a team, they weren't actually holding a lot of the ball. They were really good defensively because we've seen it with the Burnleys in recent years where you play great football in the second tier, but then you come up, right? The Southampton last year, the disaster of trying to play the same way. It's encouraging. Sassuolo have, for the most part, been Serie A regulars. They kept some of their guys like Berardi, stayed down with them and is coming back up. And, I know Brendan mentioned him as just what a figure he is at Sassuolo. And for Kone, right away, he should start. This is a great opportunity. Like, if Kone plays to his potential, he can be a star at Sassuolo. But for him right now, there's no question of his potential. There's no question of his talent. There's questions of his consistency. There's questions of how his day-to-day, his training environment. I think this is a good club for him because maybe you don't get the noise that you got at a Marseille and and some of the other clubs, but you're still in a top 5 league. You're still in a good environment, and you're still at a place where you can develop, because that's all we want to see from him, is to develop. This is a player that, if all goes well, he should be starring at next year's World Cup. He was excellent at the last World Cup, and he'd only been playing pro soccer for less than a calendar year. So I'm super excited because this is the sort of move Sassuolo should, like. When I saw Buchanan didn't make sense. Buchanan was too established. Buchanan just needed to get back to his level. Kone is still finding his level, and I think this is the exact sort of club where he can hit it, and he's at a young enough age that, should he hit it, big things could be coming. So I think this is a good bet for both club and player, and let's hope Kone, after the year he has, knows what's ahead of him and really seizes this opportunity.
I like, too, that Sassuolo is, they're comparable to me in a lot of ways to like a Porto, a lesser extent, like Benfica. Obviously, they're not challenging for titles, but in terms of like the players that they have that quickly become stars for the team and move on from Berardi to Locatelli to Scamacca to a lesser extent. Like, that's a good spot for Kone, because I think we all believe he has that level of potential, if not even greater. And he just needs the opportunity for it, and he really needs it now. This is the most important decision of his career so far, ahead of a home World Cup, and hopefully it works out for him.
Most important decision for him now, but also for stability, because I think if he finds success, especially if they stay up, we're talking about him being there for, longer than a year, maybe 2, maybe 3. And as we mentioned in the past, Kone's young and he's been to a lot of clubs at this point. He needs some stability. I'm not saying he has to be a career guy at Sassuolo. I'm not saying he can't take another step up, but 2 or 3 years there, I could see that as a very beneficial thing, assuming that they're able to stay up in Serie A.
If he is one of the most successful players or develops to become a star, he can't stay there. He won't. They can't keep him. That's just not how the business works. Right. Look at how many guys. Enzo Fernandez, phenomenal example. Benfica got him in the summer for 1.5 million, and in January they sold him to Chelsea for 100 million. Like, and that's a tier of a team that was like contending for a title. So Sassuolo is just looking to stay up. Those teams, if they have shining star players, they cannot keep those players. So it's one of those things where actually the trade-off is you're hoping that he can find his form to be a star. But a move, I feel like, is inevitable if he does that. If he ends up being there for 3 years, I think we're talking about him not being a Canadian men's national team regular, to be honest.
No, I think regular still. I think it's more starter. Like, at the end of the day, it's still a top 5 league. Like, we're still not at a point where there's 30 guys in the top 5 league and you're leaving them out of the squad. But I do think they're making a big, like, the bet they're making. Like, you look at the terms of the deal: loan, option to buy triggered if they stay in Serie A. Like, I think they're gonna stay in Serie A. They're clearly making a good bet on Kone, and I think this is something where he's coming there at a bit of a low. All he can go is up. Let's see how up he can go.
And Nathan Saliba already cooking at Anderlecht, made his Europa League qualifying debut and scored in his Belgian league debut as well. One of his first touches for the club ends up in the back of the net. And it seems like people are taking notes on Canadians in Belgium, as we talked about a couple episodes ago, because Luc de Fougerolles has also signed in Belgium. Alex, your thoughts on the start of this Belgian league campaign and Luc de Fougerolles becoming the latest one alongside Nathan Saliba this year?
I guess we want more Canadians in the championship. Like we said, check out that video on our YouTube if you haven't already. But Belgium's not a bad place, and it's good for Nathan Saliba. He's the exact sort of guy you want to see use this sort of Belgian pathway. Still young, comes in, and I think immediately you can see the fit. Like, there's a fit for him on the pitch. That club is going to develop him. They're going to work with him. And it's just amazing that there's been immediate reward. And hopefully Luc de Fougerolles can do the same. What I like right away with de Fougerolles, he's not going to too big, too fast. Like, Dardar are a mid-table club. They're maybe not as big, but he's going to play. And sometimes for young Canadians, all you need is those valuable minutes. So Belgium's providing that for Canadians right now. And if this opens the door for more to keep flooding in from MLS, then I'd advise to these Belgian teams is, I'm sure there's some phone numbers you could get of some sporting directors in Canada, for example, that could give you more guys of the Salibas and the de Fougerolles. I joke, but we threw out a name like a Jeevan Badwal. I think he's a guy in a year or two, maybe a team in Belgium would be very wise to look at a player like that. And there's many, many more. That's just one off the top of my head.
There you go. I like that. Seed planting for the future there. Nice. Luc de Fougerolles, I've never heard of this team before. I have no. That sounds like they sound like a beer. I wouldn't have even pronounce it the way you pronounce it, Alex. And also, they have EH in their name. That just feels fitting. Is that why you chose it? Dardar, eh? Oh, nice spot. Where'd it go? Dardar, eh? Nice.